sujungti. 10-oji tarptautinė Kauno bienalė. Šiuolaikinio meno vaizdai ir garsai.
So, hello everyone, I'm very happy to introduce Nicolas Bourriaud, who is the chief curator, the main curator of Kaunas Bienal, and a very prominent figure in contemporary art, who has been present in various institutions, starting from Palais de Tokyo, who you've been the founder of Palais de Tokyo as well, and also the curator, and you worked for so many important newspapers and magazines, Documents sur Art and Flash Art as well, and collaborated, and you were a curator at Tate Britain, and curated the Tate Triennale called Alta Modern, yeah, and also were a director of École Nationale Supérieure des Beaux-Arts in Paris, one of the main institutions in the world, basically. So a really interesting and prominent figure of contemporary art scene for a few decades. And now you are here in Lithuania curating a show in Kaunas, and it seems it is not your first encounter with Lithuanian contemporary art scene. I remember in 2012 in Palais de Culture Communication Center, you held, it was held an exhibition, Prestige Phantasmagoria Now. It was called this way, and the catalog featured your text on the exhibition, and also you were present at the opening, if I'm not mistaken. Sure. So now you come back with another show on Phantasmagoria and Kaunas Bienal, which is called Fred, Phantasmagoria About Distance. What's so special about this unifying element of Phantasmagoria and Lithuania? Is it a phantasmagoric country or what?
No, not exactly. I actually accepted to write this catalog text because it was already also part of my own thinking. So I've been working on about Walter Benjamin's ideas mainly, and this is where it came from for me. So I was really happy to participate to this exhibition in Klaipėda, which was at a very different angle on the idea of Phantasmagoria. So I thought that anyway the theme was not totally, fully exploited, and there was many other things to say. And what interested me first is this idea of Phantasmagoria as a kind of unknown ancestor of contemporary art, because at the very end of the 18th century, people like Richardson, the Abbé Richardson, for example, invented a very spectacular way mixing science and spiritism to produce a new type of spectacle, a new type of involvement also of the audience. At the time, it was really the first participating audience, because they were actually obliged to follow a certain path within very bizarre, weird buildings, in Paris. And so this kind of common route between film and art was actually interesting me a lot. And then Walter Benjamin's idea of Phantasmagoria, comes up totally at the front of this discussion, because it was actually his way to understand Karl Marx's, theories. The idea of Phantasmagoria as a kind of projection of a given civilization about itself. Phantasmagorias are everywhere, and Walter Benjamin wrote this Passagenwerk book about how in every detail of its structure a given civilization produces an image, a kind of super image of itself, which is Phantasmagoria. And it relates also to the ghost dance that Karl Marx, talks about. The idea that the product acquires, human abilities, and the worker is becoming an object. So let's say it's different ideas intertwined, and it's always this kind of intrications that actually produce an exhibition, and that's the case here. It is an exhibition about distance. That's the main idea, transporting moving bits or moving atoms, and could not be a better place to do it than a post office.
If I might mention another philosopher who is related with Karl Marx and with the ghostly appearances, that would be Jacques Derrida in Spectres of Marx, who elaborates this idea, which is already present in Marx's Capital. Well, we lead this analysis to the end. We find that basically spectral or ontology, as he calls it with H, is not really something that is created and illusional or fictional, but is a very interesting part of reality. It is already there. The phantasmagoria is here. The thing is that we cannot really solve the problem only by reducing it to the false consciousness, as Marx puts it. You kind of link this problem with nowadays challenges and with the question of technology as well. So what would be the ghost of 21st century? Are we dealing with something still not understood in a way, still not conceived? Phantasmagoria as a part of reality.
Actually, one could say that nowadays the future is our own ghost. Ghosts used to come from the past before. Yes. Now it seems that they are coming from the future, and the future itself, the idea of future, has become a kind of ghost haunting us, because all our versions of future coming from the past have completely vanished. So they become ghosts some way. In curatorial terms, this idea of the haunting or the spectral is very essential to this exhibition in a way. First, because it's a post office. At the top of this building, that was the place where actually people were trying to stop the Voice of America by blurring the emissions. This building has a strong past. It has a very specific position in the city of Kaunas, and ghosts are too numerous to be named. Actually, it's our history, and the way our history was actually projecting things into the future, but we didn't really realized actually. So the idea was to take into account for this exhibition the very history, not only of the building, but as many things possible in a way. Keeping echoes. It's a kind of echo chamber. And that's also the very specific quality of this building, and the way I tried to keep it as a kind of ready-made in a way, not to transform it too much. We kept the walls as they were mostly, except when we were really obliged to hang something or to change, but it needed to be taken as a kind of as an object. Actually, it's an object. It's not a white cube. It's not a universal contemporary art space. It's a very specific building in a very specific town. And then the exhibition welcomes all the possible ghosts of this situation.
The question about contemporary art is pretty often related with the transformation of the spectator, or emancipation of the spectator, as Jacques Rancière put it, for example, in a way that we might change not only the way of understanding, but also the way of imagining the future.
Techniques of illusion are actually everywhere around us. They are in the city already. You don't need art for it anymore. Art is rather a space-time where you can deconstruct, and analyze and put into perspective all those strengths of manipulation. It's a kind of editing table for all the illusions that are actually produced, by any city, in Europe or many other places. It's relates also to, I think, the core of the 20th century avant-gardes, which, according to me, was this difference between activity and passivity. Every important work in the 20th century came across those ideas. How to make the viewer an active individual, how to break passivity, how is it possible to emancipate. Then that would be a different version of emancipation, is how to make people active, how to produce as many activities as possible. I think that's one of the hidden agendas of 20th century avant-garde. But today, it takes a very specific form, because we are overwhelmed by images, we're overwhelmed by information. So our capacity of navigation throughout those information clouds and our ability to decode and use images become the main subject, the main topics today. And I think in this exhibition you have also a feeling of that, quite clearly, if you are.
Renginį globoja Lietuvos Respublikos prezidentė Dalia Grybauskaitė. Pagrindinę parodą kuruoja Nicolas Bourriaud. Informaciniai partneriai. Rėmėjai.